week, I caked 2 beach balls, large and a small beach ball. I was so inspired by the cake I made this week that I decided to just hop over to Thailand. I might not be back to make cakes next week. Is that a problem? So to start off, I'm going to remove my 3 cakes, 6-inch half sphere chocolate cakes and 1 10-inch half sphere chocolate cake. To let you know, I'm making a 10-inch round beach ball and a 6-inch round beach ball. I have never caked a 10-inch sphere, period. In fact, the 2 10-inch half sphere pans I had were brand spanking new. I had to unwrap them and wash them before using them. But I also knew that at 10 inches, it would probably be too heavy if it was all cake. And then the ball would look more like flat on the bottom, which I didn't want. So what I decided to do is bake a 10-inch half sphere only and stuff the other half with my Rice Krispie mixture. Because the cake is so big and there isn't a lot of room for filling, I wanted to do something else. So what I did is I measured the center, put a cutter on the center to make a round mark, and then I scooped it out. I scooped out a little hollow with a spoon. And you guessed it, it's a secret chamber, and I'm gonna fill it with sprinkles. Then what I'm going to do is make a sprinkle mixture. I just found whatever multicolored sprinkles I had. So I had Jimmy's, I had nonpareils, and I had some bigger little almost dragée size sprinkles. So now that I've toppled the cakes out, I am going to simple syrup them on both sides. I'm not cutting the cakes to create more layers. I'm not trying to create an oval or a cake that looks like Walter. I need it to be round, which means I only have room for filling between the spheres to glue them together.
The Thailand sun is not really doing well with your hair. Some of it keeps disappearing.
Really? It's just so hot here. It's just disintegrating in the sun. You know what I mean? While the syrup is soaking in, I'm gonna take the time to make my 10-inch half sphere of Rice Krispie. Now, normally when I make modeling Rice Krispie, I skip the butter, I skip the vanilla, because what you're looking for is a mixture that you can really compress. But in this case, I still wanted it to be a little more delicious, and I knew because it was so big, it could handle the other ingredients. So I made pretty much traditional Rice Krispies. When it was ready, I made sure that my 10-inch half sphere was well greased, and then I started to spoon in the Rice Krispie mixture, and I used a small 4-inch cake pan to really press it down. It worked, but it kept like moving around in the sphere because it's so smooth on the inside. So I ended up having to make 2 batches of Rice Krispie, and it filled the sphere pan completely, perfectly flat on top. Then I let that set. I cleaned. We cut that out of every video. And now what I'm going to do is crumb coat all of the pieces. So the 3 cakes and 1 Rice Krispie. Because even though Rice Krispie is solid, there's a lot of tiny nooks and crannies between the Krispies, so you still need to crumb coat and ice it as if it were a cake. So now they're all crumb coated and chilled. Now what I need to do is put them together and form actual balls before I ice them. And then I'm going to secure this cake in place. So I'm going to use a bamboo skewer that has a point at the end, push it all the way down into the cake and into the cake board. And then at least if it twists around, it's not gonna roll off the board, which is what I'm trying to stop. So now I have a full 5-inch round cake with a bamboo skewer, keeping it in place. Now I have to put the 10-inch half cake, half Rice Krispie together. I iced the top surface, but there's now like a secret chamber in the middle. Then I spooned in all the sprinkles, making sure they were right up to where the buttercream is. Now here's where it gets tricky, because the cake is the top, but because I put sprinkles in it, I can't just flip it over. They'll all fall out. So what I need to do is put the Rice Krispie on top of the cake and then flip the whole thing. But it was really slippery, so I ended up putting a glove on my right hand, holding the Rice Krispie and then flipping it all over. I flipped the whole cake, put it on a board, and now I need to put that dowel through the cake, through the sprinkles, through the pilot hole in the Rice Krispies, and down into the cake board.
Who plays with a 6-inch beach ball?
I don't know. A child? And then there's giant ones. Like we have giant ones on set. They're like 18 inches.
Oh yeah, like let's not cake that one.
No, let's not. Please don't leave that suggestion in the comments. So now I have my spheres. I'm going to take a small spatula, ice all the way around from down under the sphere all the way around to the top. And it's time to use my invention. So I'm going to use my invention on both the small and the large beach ball cake. You just want to go around, use your Lazy Susan and go around. And not only are you going around, but you're slightly raising the invention as you go around. And here's another helpful hint, especially in the summer. Don't feel like you have to do this in one step. Pop both cakes back in the fridge, and then when they're nice and set, you can go back with a little bit of buttercream and just sort of fill in any gaps and use your invention again till you get it really smooth. I was really proud of how they both turned out. More round than this. This isn't even perfectly round. My first plan of attack for covering my beach ball cakes was to, oh wow, there you go. There you go. It's the sunlight here in Thailand. It's like really just, you know what I mean? Bouncing off the beach ball. So at first, my plan of attack was to cover opposite sides first. So I was going to do blue, then pink, then I was going to do yellow, then green, and then the two white. And this way I knew I wouldn't stain any of the colors. But I started and decided that that was a bad idea. I need to work my way around the ball like I do with patterns on any cake. And that way, if there's anything uneven or there's an unclean seam, I've decided now that between blue and white will be the back of the beach ball. Okay, so instead of doing pink, the blue is on. I've left that alone. I decided I can adjust it at the end if need be. I'm moving on to yellow. Instead of using the template to cut out the template perfectly and lay it on, I'm only going to cut out one side of the template and make sure that the other side is larger so I can trim it on the beach ball. Even on the beach ball, there's a seam, but it's a very clean seam. So the lines are really accentuated. So I laid on the yellow on both beach balls. I put it in the fridge to chill for a bit, pulled them back out, and then I used my fabric measuring tape as a guide, knowing how wide each panel should be at its thickest, and then cutting along that same curve. Then when I was happy, I moved on to white, did the same thing, moved on to pink, same thing, did a nice lime green, same thing. And then white again, which met up with the blue. Since blue was my least favorite color on the beach ball, I decided that that would be the back no matter what. I mean, in the end, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It wasn't the cleanest seam out of all of the seams, but it wasn't terrible. So I made that the back, but you can still see it. So now both beach balls are covered in 6 panels. I do not shy away from nubs. I've made many nubs on this channel and you have seen it. A beach ball kind of has a nub, the part where you blow it up. I consider that the bottom of the beach ball. I also don't think it's that attractive. And even though there are options for clear, like isomalt, that would mean it would be a very hard piece. And I wasn't interested in that. So I decided to do the beach ball face up, of course, without any branding. And what I needed to do here is use a circle cutter, cut out a section of all 6 colors on top of each beach ball, carefully use the point of my knife to remove them. And then I had some white fondant rolled out. I'm going to use the exact same size cutter once I've cleaned them to cut out a perfectly white circle. And I'm also going to use smaller cutters to make the markings. I can hold it up, but you won't see it. There's like little seams.
I am not super convinced that you are in Thailand.
I am. Okay, I'm not, but you know what? This picture I truly took in Thailand.
Oh my God, I'm having the best beach day ever. Helena, are you gonna come play beach ball with me? So let me cut some cake for us. Glad I spent hours doing this. That was a reveal! Here we go, it's a party, it's a beach party. Okay, I mean, it's not the biggest party, but I still wanna go. Because the cake is so big, it's almost brownie-like. It's like a bit fudgy. Fudgy chocolate cake at the beach. Guys, I'll be back next week with more cake. It won't be on a beach, but it'll be something great. Helena, catch! Shuchi, catch!